Hi friends, welcome back. So today's class is a little special edition. A few of you have actually reached out to me saying that you've been having some maybe low body sensitivity or issues, particularly in the ankles, whether it's just, maybe you have a prior injury and it's healed over the past few years, but it's still a little bit sensitive or sore. Or I know some of you are going through current ankle injuries. So this is just a great way to still get a good stretch in without putting too much weight on the foot. This practice will require a little bit of opening through the hips. So if you have tight hips or if you are still new to yoga, I would recommend a little bit more of a gentler class. Not that this won't be gentle because we will be seated in a chair the whole time. So you do need a chair. I highly recommend you get one without arms and when you, and with a back, sorry, and set it up with a wall behind because we're going to be down on the floor towards the end, pushing into the chair, and we just don't want it to fall out from behind. So having a wall available as well as a strap. We'll be using this for a little bit of an arm motion that we're doing. So if you don't have one, it's not entirely essential, but it will help in the practice. And just one more thing to keep in mind as we move throughout. When we make subtle adjustments while we're seated, the motion itself tends to be a little bit more dynamic. So I'm going to come into a wide leg seated position here. And normally when we're standing and I cue to tuck the tailbone, right, so that the pelvis is nice and long, or that the tailbone is nice and long, so slightly tucking in the pelvis. When you go to do this in a chair, because you're seated, there can be a lot of like jolting or just fast, abrupt movements. So just take care when you're adjusting yourself subtly, right? Really take your time and move into it. So when I'm putting the tailbone underneath, the spine lengthens, but it's really, really tempting and really, really easy to just make that quick adjustment. So just be gentle with yourself. The name of the game today is ahimsa, which is Sanskrit for do no harm. So we're here because we don't want to further harm or injure whatever is going on with your ankle or foot or whatever it may be. So grab your chair. I do also recommend having a mat underneath because we'll come to lay down at the end, still using the chair, and you'll see what I mean. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So for this first little bit of breathing and meditation, I'm gonna just sit tall in my chair, but you can put a pillow behind your back. It might be a little more comfortable, especially if you have a hard-backed chair like I do. So as we're seated in our chairs here, just making sure that you still feel grounded and even between the hips, that you're able to tuck the low belly in, but keep it relaxed. Roll the shoulders up to the ears, slide them down the back. You can start to soften or close the eyes. We're going to keep the hands right on top of the thighs today. And either shift your ankles just so that they're extended past the knees, depending on how much comfort you have in them right now, or keeping them stacked directly under. We're going to avoid tucking them back under the chair. So finding the center and starting to internalize your awareness. So just noticing and observing any sensations that you may be feeling. And if you're used to doing a standing yoga practice, I really want you to think about the differences in sensation between being seated on a surface such as a chair and being able to move in the ether. So having space to move into and not being quite as grounded. So we're just noticing the breath as it comes and goes. How does the inhale feel? How does the exhale feel? Is the breath cool or warm to the back of the throat? And before we really start to control the breath, I want you to again relax the body. So soften into the shoulders, soften a little into the belly. Keep a nice tall spine And then as we inhale, we're going to start to extend nice and long as we breathe in, really finding expansion. And then a nice long exhale. And repeating. So starting that deep breath again. Keeping as much control over each moment of the breath as possible. Body is relaxed. And each breath, we're just lengthening out a little bit longer than the previous breath. And then we'll take our deepest, fullest round of breath yet. Release with an exhale. And slowly shift back into your natural pace. Relax the body. Take a nice deep inhale. Exhale will lower the chin to the chest. Keep the shoulders relaxed. And as the head comes down, you can slowly flutter open the eyes. Roll on an inhale your right ear up and over the right shoulder. We're just hanging the head to the side. Shoulders are still relaxed. Your next exhale, rolling the chin back to the chest. And inhale, left ear rolls up and over the left shoulder. Relaxing, breathing, just allowing gravity to do the work here. And exhale to roll the chin back to the chest. Inhale, moving back through center. We're just going to roll the shoulders out a few times. Inhale as you draw them up. And exhale, slide them down the back. Just creating some nice slow movement. And at the bottom of your next exhale, reversing the direction. And then we'll begin to alternate movement in each shoulder. And reversing. And then slowly make your way back to stillness in center. So taking your right hand, reaching it down, and just take care I'm not mirroring you guys. So it'll look opposite what I'm doing as to what I am telling you to do. So taking your right hand and either reaching down that back leg of your chair or maybe hooking it underneath the seat of the chair. On an inhale, we're going to reach the left hand to the side and up overhead. And then finding our side bend here. And you can either slide that right hand down the leg of the chair. That's going to help keep that shoulder engaged. We do not want that shoulder rounding forward. Or if you're gripping under your chair, just take a soft bend to the elbow, reaching the elbow back and squeezing it in towards your torso, while that left arm extends up and over. Notice if you're like me right now and sticking out your ribs, go ahead and tuck those ribs in. Feel the muscles of the low back spread out. And inhale, reach the left hand up. Exhale all the way down, grabbing the chair. Inhale, right hand up and over. And again, make sure the spine is long, tuck the ribs in. We're active through those right fingertips. Finding some extension and making sure that left shoulder is not rounding forward. Inhale, reach to the ceiling, and exhale, bring that right hand down. So we're going to come into a fold next. I'm going to give you a couple of different options. You can either grab the back of your chair with both hands, roll the shoulders down and back, and again, squeezing the elbows in toward the center. Nice tall spine. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, leading with your chest, just begin to fold down over the legs. As you come down, you can slide your hands slowly up the back of the chair. Keep the back flat. And maybe releasing the fold further down, but really getting a nice stretch through the arms and the shoulders here. Low muscles of the back are also expanding. The belly is tucking up and in. We need the support from underneath. The neck is long, chin lifted from the chest. And as we get ready to come up, using an inhale, grip the back of the chair, bend the elbows, slowly lift the torso. Hands can begin to slide down the back of the chair. And then release, hands to the lap. So that's option number one. You can hang out in that fold for a while if that feels good for you. Second option is take the hands behind, linking fingertips. You're going to have the elbows bent and maybe scooch forward on the chair a little bit so there's some space between your low back and the back of the chair. Shoulders rolling down and back. Take a breath in for that long spine. Exhale as we lean forward, flat back to fold. As we begin to make more space between our body and the back of the chair, you can extend the arms. So again, feeling that stretch through the shoulders. And as you come down here, where I'm just barely resting my chest on the top of my thighs, I'm going to begin to deepen the stretch through my shoulders. So rolling the arms up. Core is engaged, so belly is tucking up and in. Chin is lifted from the chest. And you'll notice as we fold down here, it does put a little bit of pressure into the feet and ankles, so only go as far as feels comfortable for you. Getting ready to come up, pull the navel up and in, inhale. As we lift the torso, reaching the arms back, you can start to bend the elbows. Bring the arms behind, relax the shoulders, and release the hands forward. We're going to do that one more time. Take a breath. Reaching the arms back, this time grasping opposite fingers. Shoulders roll down and back, breathing in. Exhale to fold. And as you come down, extending the arms back. Remember, belly is engaging underneath. Option to roll the stretch up into the shoulders. Coming up with an inhale. And as the torso lifts, you can start to bend the elbows so that there's room behind you. Bringing the arms back and release. Breathing in and breathing out. From here, we're going to come into a seated twist. And if you had scooched way far forward, you can come back a little bit now. So we can either take a nice, easy twist just right here like we normally do. Inhale for a tall spine. Exhale to twist. You can grab the side of your leg, maybe the back of the chair. Or if you want a little bit of an extra challenge, and again, just be wary of the ankle of the standing leg. So we can cross that left leg over the right, just like we would do if we were seated. Take an inhale, and before we even start to think about moving, just make sure you're not leaning into one hip, but really grounding yourself down on both sides. So from here, we can take a breath in. Exhale, we'll twist to the left. Right hand comes to the outer leg. Left hand reaches behind. And breathing. You can allow that left hip to slide a little bit with you as you deepen through your twist. Remember, head and neck always turning last. And we'll exhale to center. Keep the legs crossed if that feels okay, or both flat on the ground. We're going to bring the forearms in front of the face, and that left arm is going to come underneath the right. Option to cross again at the wrists here for our eagle arms. Slowly begin to lift the elbows, and as you do so, really plug that tailbone down into the chair, tucking the low belly in. Feel that nice stretch through the shoulder blades and down the back. And if it feels okay here, we're going to slowly point the fingertips forward. So we're just extending the forearms a little bit, noticing how that changes the stretch in the back. And then slowly bending the elbow, lowering the arms, and release. Go ahead, shake the arms out a couple of times. And this is where you might need a strap because we're going to be coming into a cow face position. So if you do need a strap, we'll be taking it in the, in the right hand. Left leg is crossed, take the strap in the right hand. Long end behind you, left hand to the side to grab the strap. And then you can walk the hands closer together. Fingertips may reach, they may not. That's totally fine. We just want to keep that right arm as close to the head as possible and begin to start extending the elbow straight up to the ceiling. And it might not be straight up today, that's fine, but just that subtle little adjustment of pulling the arm in and pointing the elbow up is going to really deepen the stretch through the tricep and into the muscles of the shoulder blade here. Lengthen the tailbone by tucking in that low belly. And from here, we're going to incorporate a little bit of a fold. And you can stay right in this upright position if that feels good. If you'd like to go further, take a nice deep inhale. As we exhale with a flat back, don't dip the head, we're going to start leaning forward. And again, on this lean, you're going to start to put a little bit of pressure on that right ankle, so maybe scooting the foot forward a little bit. And only coming down as far as feels comfortable for you. Belly is engaged. And again, we can do this with feet flat on the ground as well. And I'm not coming down too far here, but I'm enjoying a little bit of a stretch in the hips with the legs crossed, as well as a big stretch down the back and through the arms. Inhale, make your way through center. And exhale, release the hands. Shrug the shoulders out. You can uncross the legs, give them a little tap on the ground. And then we'll cross that right leg over the left and set up for the twist. Or again, both feet can be flat on the floor. So take a breath in. Exhale, twisting to the right this time. Taking a couple of breaths here. One more inhale. Exhale back to center. Keeping the legs crossed if that feels okay. We'll bring the forearms in front of the face. Right arm underneath the left, option to cross at the wrists. So finding those eagle arms, neutralize and lengthen the spine. Slowly begin to lift the elbows. Feel the shoulder blades slide down the back. Breathing here. And then option to start pointing the fingertips forward, so slightly extending the arms. It's just a little movement here. And then bending the elbows, slowly lowering the arms, unwinding them. Release the hands down, breathe in, and exhale. One more variation, grabbing the strap if you need it. This time we're going to be bringing the left hand up, strap behind perhaps, right arm out to the side, flip the palm to the back of the room, and then as we hinge the elbows, starting to walk the hands closer together if you're using the strap, or maybe grasping fingertips. Neutralize your spine And again, those minute adjustments of trying to pull that left arm closer to the head and then begin to lengthen the elbow toward the ceiling. Option to incorporate the fold. Take a breath in and then exhale, folding forward. And if you have a sensitive left ankle at this point, you could slide your foot forward. And again, only coming down as far as feels comfortable as that pressure comes into the foot. Inhale back to center. And exhale, release the hands, shrug the shoulders, roll them around, and uncross the legs. Give the feet a nice little tap. So from here, we're going to come into a seated wide leg position. So you're going to scoot back on the chair just a little bit and start to open the legs to the side. Remember, we always want our toes going in the same direction as our kneecaps. So we're going to avoid pointing the toes forward, but instead they're going to be out at a little bit of an angle. This is where I'm going to cue you to make these little adjustments, because as I came into this position, I noticed that I'm just kind of sticking out my bum. So I want to be able to tuck it underneath by pressing my hips forward. That's going to allow me to even widen my legs out a little bit here. It's also going to, start to really work into the hips because of the weight of the spine coming up. Making sure that your ankles are under the knees, not pulling in toward the chair, or even extending out just a little bit if that feels better for your ankles. So essentially we're in our goddess squat right now. And I want you to just focus on opening up through the knees. And again, this doesn't have to be a huge movement. You can bring your legs in, only maybe directing out towards those corners of the chair. But pushing the hips forward, tucking the tail underneath, and coming to that tall spine is what's really going to start to work into this region of the pelvis. So find whatever spot is comfortable for you. We're going to take a few breaths here. Maybe hands rest on the knees. Maybe hands coming into the heart. Breathe in and out. You can bring the hands down. So the next few rounds, you can soften the legs a little bit here. So what we're going to be doing for the next few postures are coming into seated versions of Warrior 2, Reverse Warrior, and Warrior 1. This is going to put a little bit of strain into that back ankle. So if you're still feeling really sensitive and can't move the ankle this way, so we're going to be seated. There's not going to be a ton of pressure, but if that stretch alone, just having the foot to the side like we do for Warrior 2, is going to be very sensitive. I invite you just to skip this part, maybe come back to those goddess squats, add in a few variations, twisting, side bending, as we go through this next round. So still have the legs fairly wide. We're going to open up that right knee to the side a little bit and extend the left leg out. And this is where you're going to have to adjust your bum. So gently lift and move so that we can straighten that left leg. And again, if this is intense on the ankle, you can come to the inside of that big toe so you're not pressing down as much into the foot. Making sure that right knee is stacking over the ankle. And then tuck those hips, press them forward toward the edge of the chair. You can bring your hands in front to start. And then slowly open the arms to the sides. Really turn on this right glute, because as soon as you open those arms, all of that gravity, that weight is grounding right here into this right hip. But breathing through it. You can even engage this left quad a little bit. Even if you're not grounding down through the foot, you can still keep that leg active and strong. So Reverse Warrior from here, right palm flips to the ceiling. Inhale. Exhale, hinge back nice and slow. Left hand lowers, right hand lifts. Really breathe through a lot of intensity in this right leg right now. Breathe in. Exhale, Warrior 2. Bring your hands down. So now we're going to make one of those adjustments again, and that's shifting the weight back. So I'm standing up on these left toes now, and I'm hooking my right leg over the side of the chair. Knee is stacking over the ankle. You might even want to bring that outer left hip, like just wrap the top of the thigh at the side of the chair here so you can square those hips off. And that might mean that you need to come onto toes of this right foot here. Just take care of how your ankle and knee feels. And this is a deep stretch. Just this movement alone, using this chair, you can keep your hands down, maybe hands to the hips. If you're feeling really good, really powerful in this right side, go ahead, bring the arms up. Exhale to bring the hands down. And you could always take a bend to this back knee too if you want to alleviate some stress off of the ankle. Slowly coming back to center. One hand in front, one hand to the side. Shift your weight around nice and gentle. And extend the leg back to that sort of goddess squat position here. Maybe just lift the feet, bend the knees. Just a little bit of movement in the legs here, shaking out to release any tension. There was a lot of energy we just built in this right side. So as we move into the left side, again, coming to that wide-legged goddess squat position, right foot will turn in this time as the left toes turn out, and we extend that right leg back. Making those adjustments here, so picking the bum up, maybe bringing it forward so the hips can press forward. And again, if you can't press all the way down into the whole foot, you can come to the inside of the right foot as we extend the leg back and really engage that quad instead. Left ankle under the knee, arms can come out, making sure we're engaging into the left side of the hips and pelvis now. Tuck the low belly in slightly. Breathe, find your breath here. Come back thinking about how different this feels from when we're standing, what feels the same, what feels more intense, right? Surprisingly. Inhale, left hand to the ceiling. Exhale, hinging back. Reverse warrior, left hand up, right hand down. Really rise up out of your seat here. Find that lift through the chest. Breathe in. Exhale, back to warrior two. Hips still pressing forward. You can go ahead and soften the hands down. And this is where we're going to make those little adjustments. We're going to shift onto those right toes, turning them forward. Opening the left leg out to the side a little. Maybe hooking the top of the right thigh just on the edge of the chair to press that right hip down, squaring off the hips. And again, we can bend to this right knee here. Try not to bring it too far forward and still engage a little bit into the foot if you can, if that feels comfortable. And again, maybe hands stay down to the heart. Challenge yourself, reaching them all the way up. And hands come down with an exhale. Slowly shift your weight around, back to that wide-legged position. And then gently bring both legs back through center. We're going to take just a gentle fold right here. Breathe in. Exhale, leading with the heart. Begin to soften your belly on the thighs. Chest to the knees, perhaps. And you can soften the upper body, shoulders, head forward. The hands maybe rest on the ankles, maybe on the top of the feet. Really go ahead, just let yourself go here. Framing your feet with the hands. Inhale to a little halfway lift. Come to fingertips, look forward. Exhale, soften and fold down. We're going to roll up to seated here. So tuck the navel to the spine, rounding the spine up as you breathe in. Upper body stays relaxed. As we round up, shoulders will come to the ears, head lifts. Exhale, shoulders down the back. Great job, guys. So we're going to be making our way down to the ground, but before we do so, we're going to throw just a little bit of an arm workout in. So scoot yourself to the front of the chair and push the feet forward a little bit. Hands can be framing the chair behind you. Shoulders roll down and back. Feel that low belly tuck in. And right here, we're in a seated staff pose. So normally we'd have the legs extended, but we're going to do it just like this. And you can kind of release some of the weight on your hands a little bit, maybe even float or hover them over the chair to really feel the intensity and the strength coming from the core itself. Take an inhale. Exhale, soften, relax the body. And then keeping those feet extended just a little bit past the knees, the ankles past the knees. We're going to lift our bum off of the chair. Shoulders are still rolling back. And pull our bum forward. You might have to scoot the feet forward again. And we're going to take a little dip here. So bringing the bum in front of the chair, bending the elbows so that it's almost as if you're seated on the chair. Thighs are still about parallel to the floor. But we're really using the triceps and the glutes to do a lot of the work here. Low belly still tucking in, so go ahead and lengthen that tailbone down. Squeeze the glutes. We're going to come back up onto the chair. So strong arms, inhale, reaching up. Slide your bum back onto the chair. Relax the arms, give them a nice good shake, and we're going to make our way all the way down. So however is going to be the best way for you to get down, whether knee first or lowering the bum all the way. We're going to extend the legs forward on our mat and take one fold before we begin to wind things down. So normally I cue to really flex intensely into the feet as we fold, but if it feels better for you to just have soft ankles here, right? So the feet are still flexed, but I'm not really engaging into them. I recommend you do that here. So inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, we'll extend, fold, round forward, soft bend to the knees because we have not stretched out too much into the hamstrings. Maybe we lift and lower the backs of the knees to the mat. Just a little bit of movement to loosen things up. Finding your breath. Feel the tailbone rooting down into the mat. The chin is lifted from the chest. Think nose to toes. Maybe the legs begin to straighten out just a little bit. And getting ready to come up. Inhale, look forward. Feel the belly turn on. And next breath in, we'll reach all the way up. Exhale, hands to the heart. And release. So this is where I would recommend you having a wall behind the chair because we're going to come to shift our weight around. You can come down onto your forearms to lift your legs up onto the chair. So we want the legs to stay somewhat of a 90-degree angle. My feet are just very gently resting against the back of the chair here, but it does mean my feet are flexed. Then you can lower all the way down to the back. So we're like in this reclined seated position. Take a couple of breaths here. Just relax your spine into the floor. Taking your left ankle, we're going to place it just on the top of this right knee here. So above the knee, it's on the right thigh. And if this is still pretty painful for either of your ankles, you can try to get towards the bottom of the foot a little bit more, but we really want to focus on opening that left knee to the side. And if that's still really painful, you can just gently cross the ankles here, left ankle over the right, and breathe in this position. But if you can come to the figure four legs, We're not going to be drawing them closer into the chest. But as we start to open up into this left leg, I want you to relax the low back to the mat, because if you're like me, you are starting to arch through the spine a little bit. So we want to keep that low back as flat to the floor as we can. Relax the shoulders and the upper body. And then we'll bring that left foot to the back of the chair, and either crossing that right ankle over the left for a gentler version, or bringing the right ankle to the top of the left knee. Firm the low back to the mat and press that right hip open. And then gently bring the right foot to the back of the chair. And we're going to set up for a bridge. This is going to require pressing into the feet. So again, if your ankles are still feeling way too sensitive, skip this part. Hands are going to be on, face down on the floor. Walk the shoulders down. On an exhale, flatten your low back to the mat. Feel the feet press into the back of the chair. Squeeze the glutes, and as you inhale, start to extend the hips up, rolling onto the shoulders, and just finding this opening through the upper body. So we're still pressing into the feet and the ankles, but gravity isn't putting quite as much pressure as we would if we were simply lifting off of the floor. You can lift as high or as low as you want here. It can just be a little baby lift. Maybe play around with it, start in a medium spot, and then coming all the way up to your full extent on the shoulders. We'll take one more breath in. And then exhale, gently release the spine back down, bum to the floor. We're going to come to a reclining bound ankle position. So we're going to bring the soles of the feet, or the inner edges of the feet, together here. Just open the knees toward the edges of the chair. Flatten the low back and just relax here. Gentle opening through the hips. You can also do this by widening the legs a little bit and hooking the feet closer to the back corners of the chair. That's just going to allow a little bit more space for the hips here, but you are going to have to engage a little bit into the ankles and the heel to keep the foot on the chair. You can slowly bring your knees together, and we're just going to windshield wiper the legs a little bit. You can maybe even bend the knees a little bit more, sliding the backs of the ankles toward the front of the seat, and just gently rock the knees from side to side. A nice massage across the low back. And then slowly come to stillness, keeping the legs resting on the chair. I highly recommend you take Shavasana in this position if you have any sort of injury in the low body especially. So this is a slight inversion, which means when the legs come up, the blood can begin to circulate in the opposite direction, and that can help really just clear out a lot of things, including pain or discomfort or like swelling. So if you can stay in this position for Shavasana, I highly, highly recommend it. Allow the shoulder blades to tuck under. You can widen the legs out a little bit if that felt good. Soften the belly, feel the whole length of the spine in the floor. Eyes begin to soften or close. And we'll take 3 rounds of clearing breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Slowly find your natural rhythm of breath. And then gently begin to release your control over it. Relax the body, the shoulders, the hips, the hands and the feet. And really allowing yourself to surrender into this most important posture of this practice. I invite you to remain in this Shavasana for as long as feels good. But this concludes our session today. I hope you enjoyed this special edition of chair yoga with an emphasis on healing or preserving the ankles. Go ahead, subscribe to my channel on YouTube, or leave me a nice comment or review. I love to hear your feedback. Thank you for practicing along with me today. I look forward to next time. Namaste.